Hi, Kat here for Lightwave Digital. In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about how we can turn geometry into a light source. Now, there are a few ways to do this in Lightwave, and some of them may seem familiar to you from other packages, but some of them may not. So let's go through a couple of different options. Here's one of the most common ones, and that is to take the surface value for luminosity and have it be at a higher value than 0, and give it a luminous color, such the same as our object. And let's engage our renderer. And with global illumination turned on in our renderer, we will get a nice glowing ball that is contributing to the lighting around it. Now, if we increase that luminous value, it's of course going to kick off more and spread that lighting out. Or if we increase the intensity of radiosity, we'll get a similar effect. Of course, this is global rather than just based off of the object surface itself in terms of its luminosity intensity. Well, that's one way to do it. Well, how about another way? Let's keep this 100% luminous for now, and let's just turn this back down to 100. And we'll do this with a light. Now, there are the native primitive lights in Lightwave, which can choose any mesh that's in the scene. And then there's a third-party plugin from Denis Pontonier, or DP, that will do custom or mesh lights in the same fashion, but with some additional features. Let's try the native Lightwave light first. So we're going to go and create a new light called primitive, and we'll call this primitive red ball. Again, this could be any object in the scene that we're going to select in the primitive selection area down here. So we're going to call it red ball. Now, right off the bat, you'll notice that it contributes something to the scene, but this light is basically created in the default position. It has nothing to do with the relative position of the object that we're using to produce this mesh that is now becoming a light. And this can become very handy because you can have a series of lights that are effectively just light item types that are really not geometry but are in a geometric shape that you want, but don't have the overhead of being a luminous object with a bunch of polygons and extra detail on it that's going to produce an overhead problem if you're in a RAM limited situation, or just because you've got thousands and thousands of them in your scene. You can have thousands and thousands of items in your scene anyways, but it's more efficient to do it without actually using geometry. Not only that, you can do really cool things with lights that you wouldn't really want to do in the surface editor. Let's take a look at what this light is doing. Let's turn it visible to camera, and right now it's dead center in the scene, which means it's right on top of that green ball. So we can move that anywhere. And it could be the green ball, it could be the cove itself, that shape. And we can move that independently. And it really has nothing to do with the location in the scene of the original object. We can put it anywhere because it is effectively a light that's just saying, I want to look like this particular shape. Let's go back to the red ball for a second though, and let's exclude the actual red ball from this light. And we're going to go and hide its visibility to camera. We're going to take the primitive red ball and we're going to parent it to the actual geometry of the red ball. We're going to delete the keyframe so it snaps there. And now we can see that this light, although it's white, because that is the default, we can turn this into any color, by the way, is now in the scene. We choose to, because it's going to be inside or directly on top. It's going to illuminate that in a certain way. Now, just for the purpose of demonstrating it, let's go and create another light using the DP custom light. Okay, so we're just going to use that by default. And we're going to set this one up so that it's going to be the green ball in the middle. Now you'll notice a couple of different options here. We can pick the green ball as the source of light, and we're going to say after deformation. So wherever I move that green ball, the light is effectively going to go with it. And we can get the emissive material for that object. And we're also going to turn it off from being visible or visible to that light. So it just shines right through it because it's exactly in the same place. And we can go and crank the luminosity for this. Give it the color of green. Again, it gives you the option to do that because of flexibility. We'll also need to change the luminous color type. Again, gives you the option to that. So that's using the emissive material. We turn it off. We've still got it green because we colorized the light green. It could be a different color completely. Let's go something like purple. So while this is giving off green there, the actual light that's kicking off of this is purple, and we can crank this up. Let's go 25. Get the emissive material, and away you go. You can color mix it if you want to, using partial luminosity for this item and that of the light. You can get really creative and get into really interesting lighting scenarios with this. There are also some different options here that you might want to explore versus the native primitive light. Those being the scale of light. You can scale the object up effectively that it's using as the shape. You can turn the samples up if you need some more samples to help smooth out the lighting pattern and the shadow that's cast and the quality of the surface materials that are being affected by that light. And you can use light units either in candela or watts. Very handy if you're trying to replicate something that's in the real world. So 150 watt light bulb, dead center in a 2 meter across by 2 meter across cove will give you an effect of this nature. You can also have it cast shadows and even cast different shadow colors, just like a Lightwave native light. Very cool. All right, that concludes this part. We'll see you in the next video.